Just a little after. Just a little
Okay.
after. If you want to get started, I mean, if people are popping in here soon, then Marcia,
Okay.
take it away.
Take it away, Joe, right? Maybe I should be talking under an pseudonym or something so that in case you don't like it, you can blame somebody else. Um, so today we're going to be talking about fall gardening, specifically with youth and kids. I'm Marcia Tisdale, and I belong to the Cowlitz County Master Gardeners. Today we're going to be talking about general characteristics of children, specific age characteristics, and how it relates to gardening, considerations for a fall garden, fall activities, horticultural places to go in the area. Although, obviously, if you're in Spokane, you'll have your own places that you like to go to, and Master Gardener resources that are available. Um, Basically, kids are messy by nature. Although obviously the type of mess as a 3-year-old is much different than say a 14-year-old boy um, or a girl. I don't want to be you know um, pinpoint people into boxes. One of the things that I really enjoy about kids is that they have an imagination, and that added to for most kids, a carefree attitude and, live and embrace. And it's just fun to be around kids. Uh, Kids like to be heroes. They like to be the ones that know it all, or they can do it all, or and they're eager to learn and acquire the skills that would show off that ability. However, they also can be sensitive, and that means that they can be vulnerable. And so we as adults have to um, um, deal with them in a way that it doesn't appear that we are putting them down or thinking that they are less than they are. Um, I love the fact that they love activity, love to be active. They're energetic. But another pull also is they're social beings and they want to be able to fit in. And this is especially critical in the 11, well, 12 through 15. Um, they will often do things so that they can fit in. So if we pull them in to our garden world with us, they are fitting in with us. But if we're invite also their best friend to do the things that you do in the garden, then that can even be more fun. Although depending on um, the mix, it could also be detrimental. So obviously, you as parents know how to deal with that. So um, they can become discouraged. And so we like to do things with our children that will help them see that they can do interesting things. I often go back to when I was a child, and my father had a huge garden. Um, he came from a family of farmers. He'd gardened all his life. He was really good at what he did. His garden looked immaculate. And I wanted to spend time with him. So I asked him if I could have a little part of his garden. And so he measured out a little corner for me. And the thing was, is that I appreciate him to this day. And probably it's why I'm in the Master Gardeners program now. And that is, he never compared my garden with his garden. He never told me, oh, it's too messy. You've got too many weeds. You're not planting in straight rows. He never had any of that kind of criticism. What he did do when I grew something, he would come over there, put his arm around me and say, look at there, bub, you grew something. And so I always appreciated that. I think he would be proud of me now that I'm actually in the Master Gardener program. Okay. Their focus and gardening activities that go along with it. Toddlers 1 to 3, they're just beginning. They really like to feel things and touch things. And so things like watering plants and digging and harvesting something that's very easy to reach or collecting leaves. And they do need child-sized tools if they're going to be working in the garden. Excuse me, I think I'm going to take a sip of water. Preschoolers are beginning to develop their fine and gross motor skills and they're learning concepts. So things like digging, raking, placing scraps in the compost bin, learning to identify plants and insects and to know that there are good bugs and bad bugs. Bugs that are beneficial in the garden, bugs that are not. The elementary ages 6 through 11, now they're beginning to become more complex and being able to do more intricate activities. And they're also learning responsibility. And gardening is one of the best ways of teaching responsibility because if you don't water your plants, they die. They like helping you plan the garden layouts. They like to have activities that are piece by piece. In other words, you don't say to like a 6 or 7-year-old, okay, do this and then that and then that and then that. What you want to do is focus it on one thing that they're doing and then moving to the next thing after they complete that. Junior high kids, now these are the ones that are getting really into what their friends are doing and thinking. And I don't know, somebody once said that when they were young, they thought their parents knew everything until they became teenagers, and then they thought their parents knew nothing. And then eventually they got up to be 40 and 50 years old, and they said, my parents suddenly became wise again. So, working within the age group, but also working within the actual personality of children will help them embrace something, especially if it's something new. In high school, they need higher skill. They have higher skills. And so they want things that are relative and they want things modern. So they're looking at apps and they're using maybe podcasts to learn more about gardening or whatever. They like to experiment and design and maybe even create a whole micro ecosystem. So in Western Washington, we have cool summers, mild, wet winters, and we can have harvesting the year round, depending on what we choose. We have to choose cool season crops for fall and winter. It's not here, our ground isn't as cold in the fall as it is in other zones, other type of zones. So we do have the ability to plant. Knowing when the first frost in your area is critical because there are plants that do well through a frost and plants that do not. Um, if we pick a spot that has as much sunlight exposure as we can, then that can downplay the colder um, weather. Uh, the garden needs to be well drained, and we can use either some kind of cold frame over the plants, or we can use row covers. And sorry that my monitor was going off. And we can help protect the plants against the heavy rains. Oh, I forgot to click it. That's why you didn't see it. Sorry about that. Anyway, we can extend the growing season. Cool season vegetables, leafy greens, root vegetables such as carrots, beets, and turnips. Garlic, onion sets can be put in for a summer harvest. Then you have your brassicas and legumes. Under the flowers, we've got perennials, shrubs, and trees. The early fall is a great time to plant shrubs and even trees. But I don't do a lot of adding to trees in my garden, but I do shrubs. Um, Looking forward to spring, we can deal with bulbs and allow them to chill before sprouting in the spring. And then there's cover crops, and that once you put that down in the spring, you can plow that under, and it enriches the soil with nutrients. Okay, let's talk about fall activities. Well, obviously you have your cleanup with pulling up plants that are no longer viable, raking leaves, collecting seeds, that sort of things. We could also do some kind of garden decor, whether that's bird feeders or pumpkin displays or outside lanterns or um, decorative log pieces or, that sort of thing. Um, Kids really like to do that sort of thing because it ties into their creativity. Um, planting things that are going to um, come up in spring, such as your bulbs. Uh, Another nice activity for kids is searching for and identifying bugs. Um, uh, Kids love bugs, and they love to see what they are and what their colors and whether they're good or bad bugs and what to do with them. And, like you don't want them to kill ladybugs. Those are good for your gardens. Praying mantises are good for your garden. You can decorate. You can turn empty gourds into bird feeders or planters or um, there's a lot online about how to prepare gourds. And it will take more than an hour to talk about all the things that you do with a gourd. First, you have to wash and disinfect it. You have to dry it. You have to cure it, which could take 6 to 8 months, and then seal it if you're going to use it as something permanent for a bird feeder or a planter. You can also build a fairy garden. And later on, I have some pictures of those. Those are also very creative and fun to do with kids. Or you can decorate rocks or flower point pots, plant a tree or a shrub, take pictures of the garden as it's changing, or younger kids might like to draw what they see. There's always seasonal decorations like pumpkins in October. And then you can plan for your planting in the spring, and what are you going to do, and how are you going to set up your garden so pollinators and things like butterflies, bees, and hummingbirds will come into your yard. There's also growing herbs together because that can also be done inside. Later on this month, we have somebody talking about dahlias. So I'm sorry. If I don't turn that off, it'll keep yelling at me. Um, and I have the list later on today about what's happening in this time frame the rest of the month. Planting spring bulbs, storing garden tools that you're not going to be using, or putting the garden to bed, setting up fall, winter pollinator habitats, winterizing irrigation systems. And in the spring, it's fun to work on the irrigation systems together if you have like drip irrigation or something like that. Transplanting, collecting seeds, building a bug hotel. That's fun. Creating a fairy garden, raking leaves, playing in them, adding them to composting, or sometimes even using them as an art project. Growing pumpkins, harvesting in the fall, making a scarecrow with pumpkins. So here's some pictures. I don't know. I don't think I ever grew up about dry leaves because I always loved to jump in a bunch of leaves. I don't know if I'm the only one that's an adult that likes to do that, but kids love it. And so it gets a little messy for a little while, but we're actually growing kids, you know, not necessarily just plants. I love this picture of this little boy and the butterfly. Of course, we probably don't have butterflies during the late fall and into the winter, but we might still find ladybugs, praying mantises, ground beetles, spiders. Can your kids identify them? Can they tell if they're beneficial or not? That's always something that I think is fun to do. And then seed gathering. On the left-hand side, you can see sunflowers. And a good time to harvest those is mid-September through October. And basically, you know that they're ready when the heads start to droop, that the petals start falling out, the back of the head is yellow or brown, and the seeds are plump, and they come loose easily. Cut the stalk a foot below the head. If you're leaving them outside, then they should have some kind of protection. If you're bringing them in, then they can be hung upside down in a cool, dry place. And then when they're dry, when the seeds are dry, you can remove them by rubbing them against each other over a bucket, or wiggling them or brushing them, and dislodging the seeds. And then the final drying is to spread the seeds out for a couple of days. And then you can store the seeds in a cool, dry place, in a paper bag, in an envelope, in some kind of container. Now, these are examples of fairy gardens. You can take all sorts of little things in there and create a whole different world. And with the imagination, especially younger children, they can almost see the little fairies running around. I think that's a really fun thing to do. Of course, it could be something as simple as repotting with grandma. This little girl, I imagine her saying, "Look, grandma, the roots need more room." This girl decided to build a bug hotel. And with help of an adult, she created the bugs. And then she has bamboo shoots that she chopped in different lengths, or I guess she was doing it so that it would fit into this box. And there's her completed process on the left. But it doesn't have to be really fancy. It can be as simple as a bunch of twigs and stuff stuffed into a pot that's turned over, or it can be logs that have drilled holes in them. Not everybody is, I'm not sure I could do the one on the bottom. It looks much more fancy than I usually am. Things you can do with a pumpkin. You can carve it and use it for decoration, or you can paint it. It's less messy, but not as tactically fun, because kids, especially, the elementary age, just love getting their hands in that gooey stuff and pulling out the seeds and the strings. Remove the seeds and dry them and season them and eat them. Cut up the insides and use it for pie, soup, bread, cheesecake, pancakes, muffins, cakes. The list goes on. There's probably, I saw online something like 184 different recipes for pumpkin. You can use them as a planter, but then again, if it's going to be a more permanent one, then you do have to cure it. You can make a bird feeder out of it. This one I liked. You can play bowling with empty 2-liter pop bottles. Put a little bit of sand or a little bit of rocks in the bottom of them. Set them up, and then have kids. The 3 to 5-year-olds really like this, as long as they don't have a pumpkin that's too big or too heavy, and they don't really throw it. It's kind of like rolling it between their legs and getting it over there, but it's a lot of fun. Okay, these are some examples of using gourds, and obviously you can see on the one on the right where it's been turned into a little bird cage or bird house. That do you see how shiny it is? That one has not only been cured, but it's also been sealed. And it's important, if you're going to use it for a bird lodging, that the insides do need to be free of mold. The one in the middle is an example of using it as a planter. The one on the left is something that is way outside of my abilities. That I'm not exactly sure how they did that, but it was so pretty. Anyway, it says it's been, in fact, there is an entire gourd art world. So, and there's a saying that if the artist can think it, then the gourd can be it. Okay. Sometimes you want to go on a walk, or you just need to use up all that extra energy that kids have. And there are places around the local area that you can go. You can identify plants. You could go on a walk. You could just enjoy nature. Here's a couple more. Park on one side, a trail on the other. There's also a lot of trails around the area. So some are steeper, some are windy, some are straight, almost to any ability. And there's the one at the R.A. Long Park. Now, the master gardeners here in Cowlitz County have some demo gardens. We have the demo gardens at the fairgrounds, although that is under construction right now because the fairgrounds is changing, and that may be moved, but we're still going to have something somewhere. And there's a lot of work that goes into that, and it's for the public's enjoyment. On the right side and upper right, you see the extension office, and those plants are designed to need little water. They're quite interesting and native. In the lower left, we have the St. Helens Visitor Center, and those are native plants that they've been cultivating, and we have volunteers that work there from to keep that. And then on the lower right, that's a picture of the Longview Library Rose Garden. There are master gardeners that take care of the roses, that prune and deadhead and plant and replant and prune again. And I think they've done a wonderful job. Then we have, of course, our plant and insect clinic. It's at the extension office. You can drop things in, you can email, you could call with questions. Right now, the drop off is April through October is Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and November through March, Wednesdays. But going back up to this, I think they're going to be starting to, you can come in on any day, Monday through Thursday, and drop something off. But we would have to get back to you on what it was. A critical thing here is explaining what it is that your problem is and what your question actually is. And of course, all of these activities and services are free to the community. Okay, so on the up the top right under gardening resource library, that's the link to go to find all of the types of things in our Master Gardener resource library that's available. There are slides, there are videos, and basically, as all of you know, if you're Master Gardeners, our mission is to really share research-based sustainable gardening techniques with the communities. It's just really a passion for us. And before I get through, I had to throw in this little plug about the Washington Green School. If you or anyone that you know is interested in exploring that, there's 2 tracks. One in which the person gets a Washington gardening certificate, and the other one, the other track is to become a master gardener. It's a good program, it's exciting, it's new, and people will get a lot out of it. So our master gardening resources on our site, we have all of these types of things that that people can click on, find information about doing all of these different things. Coming up in this month, we've got Harvesting Your Garden by Teresa Moore, and that will be on the 23rd. And on the 30th, we have Sandy Harrison doing information on growing dahlias. So those are going to be excellent in case of any of you are interested in that. Additional resources used in this presentations, mostly from Washington State University sites. Some things about children ages and their characteristics came from um, elsewhere. So, do you have questions or comments or things you would like to share or things that you have done with kids that you think are really interesting to do? I open it up to you. Don't all sound at once. Did I put you all to sleep?
Hi, Marcia. This is Stephanie. I have
Hi, Stephanie.
I have found it very fun activity with youth to collect flowers and different leaves from our garden and yard. And we've done plant pressing or plant hammering, where you use the flower and the color of the petals to somewhat stain the paper and create a stationery. But we've also used that just in pressing flowers to look back at what we had last year versus what is popping up in our gardens this year.
Well, that's a cool idea. So, what age group do you mostly work with, Stephanie? How old is your daughter?
I have, my youngest is 10.
Your youngest is 10.
Yes.
How old are your others?
They are grown adults, but I also have grandbabies who are 3 and 1.
Okay.
So
Well,
start to new activities.
grandbabies count as children.
Yes.
Although, okay, I'll say that another time. Anybody else?
Similar to Stephanie when my kids were younger, and now my neighbor kids, we go look for things like leaves and flower petals and stems and fun things. And we've got the brown craft paper, and I have a brayer, which is a roller, and you have your ink, and you just lay everything down on the paper, and then you use your roller with the ink over the top and just let it all dry, and then your stuff slides right off, and you've got kind of a neat print from it going around everything, and it kind of goes through and catches the ribs. And then we do seed bombs. So I was just looking up like which seed bomb recipe do we use. So compost, just some good bag of compost, and some clay powder and seeds and a little bit of water. Mix it up, roll them into balls and let them dry out. And then they can go in the ground or in a pot. So those are kind of fun for kids to make, and they're easy too.
And if you're doing an area that you'd just like to kind of grow up and entice pollinators and that sort of thing, having those kind of wildflowers in the seed bombs is really a good idea.
Yeah, I'm from Iowa. I've been out here about 10 years. So we would do the seed packets at the fair for the kids and talk to them about doing a small section and we called it a pocket prairie. So they could do the wildflowers or the natives in that little small area for the bees.
How do I unshare?
I have a question.
Sure.
I missed the first part of the video because I didn't see the upgraded link, so I don't know if you already covered this. But I'm looking for activities to use with first through fifth graders that would be extensions of classroom lessons, like activities for the kids to do that would enhance their learning. Do you have a link or a website that you would recommend for that?
I do. It's actually out of the Master Gardeners in King County. I know they have things like that. And it's something that we're talking about in our county as well. But let's see. I can't stop share. There we go. Let me put in the message here. Let me do this. Okay, that's my email. If you want to email me and remind me of what your request is, I can send you those links.
Thank you.
So, Mark, do you have lots of things that you do with kids?
I chase them around a lot. So
Ah.
I have three grandsons, 6, and 11 and 13. So the 11 and 13-year-olds, they live on 3.5 acres and have gardening chores at home. So when they come to see grandpa and grandma, gardening's not high on their list.
I see. Because
But
they already do it there.
they do it there, but they do enjoy helping me when they can run the small tractor and stuff. So no, they're not real involved in the gardening at all. But I could probably come up with some creative things for them to do.
It's kind of a step-by-step process. But if we don't take the opportunity to capture their interest in gardening now, who's going to be the gardeners of the future? And so I think that's very important.
They do know how to harvest cherry tomatoes because they just
Because
walk
they
down
like to eat them.
they walk
just
down the
eat
rows
them.
and pick them. Yes.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Well, that at least is something that they're eating vegetables out of the garden. So, is there any other comments, questions, or things you want to share? Okay. Barbara, Barbara, where are you in this area in the Western Washington, or are you elsewhere?
Yes, Vancouver, Washington.
You're in Vancouver. And Marlene, where are you from?
I'm from Battleground area.
Great. Okay. Well, I know this was short. I don't know if it was sweet, but it was. It's my presentation today. I hope that you at least got 1 or 2 things out of it that you hadn't thought of before, and that you can try. It's fun to work with kids. Okay, thank you very
That's a
much. What an honor.
great job,
Thank you very
Marcia.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
And when will the recording be available, since I missed the first part because I couldn't get on Zoom?
Usually Alice has it uploaded by Wednesday or Thursday, so it should be uploaded just in a couple days.
And what's the link for that? Last time I just went to YouTube to get the Gorlick class.
Oh,
but-
you did? Okay. If you send Marcia an email, she can send you the link to all of our recordings, and then you'll have access to everything that the public has, like all of our little library, and then you'll be able to get all of them.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for coming. Bye-bye.
Bye.